being here. I know it's a difficult day, it's a difficult time. Thank you for your presence here. Today we will explore how innovation in training and innovation in tools can drive success in vetting inspections, especially during the new era of Sqlearn 2 and RITES. As we all know, the maritime industry is constantly evolving, and staying ahead requires continuous learning and the adoption of new technologies. Our discussion today will focus on how we can leverage these innovative training methods and tools in order to secure success through vetting inspections. Joining us today are experts who have made significant contributions to the field of vetting. So it is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed panelists, each of whom brings a wealth of knowledge and experience in maritime training and technology. So at the first part, we will welcome Captain Nikolaos Travodimos, vetting manager at NEDA Maritime, who will deliver a presentation regarding the decoding of vetting inspections, the specifications and requirements. Then Captain Nikolaos Kalergis, vetting manager of product tankers and member of the TACO vetting committee, will follow, delivering presentation entitled Embracing the Human Element in the Sqlearn 2 Era. And at the third part we have a panel discussion with theme Securing Success with Innovative Training Tools. The moderator will be myself. I am Katerina Kokini, Deputy CEO of KMT Marine Consultants. And our esteemed panelists are Mr. Dimitris Fokas, Training Manager of Edilikus Group. Thank you, Mr. Fokas. Mr. Adonis Jordanidis, General Manager of Alpha Marine Services. Thank you. Mr. Nikos Andreadis, Maritime Human Resources and Human Factors Protocols Manager at Alpha Marine Services. Thank you, Mr. Andreadis. Captain Dimitris Kokinis, DPA, CSO, HSQE, Vetting Manager and Deputy CEO at MEM Marine. Thank you, Captain. And Mr. Athanasios Boulios, Sales Representative from Sqlearn, which is hosting the conference. So, I will take no more of your time. I would like to invite Captain Nikos Travodimos to the podium for his presentation.
Thank you very much, Katerina, for your kind introduction. The most common question made to a vetting manager, I think everybody agree, which not involved to the screening procedure, is what is vetting inspection, and of course why a vetting inspection is needed. So let's continue with, let's start with this presentation. Vetting inspections is the key of shipping industry. Compliance with Sqlearn program requirements is the sole pathway to trading in the shipping industry. And vetting inspections were introduced to the maritime industry primarily by oil majors. However, the process and the framework for this inspection have been significantly shaped and standardized by the OCRMF for several key reasons. Enhancing safety standards, the primary reason for vetting inspection is to improve the safety standard in the maritime industry, ensuring compliance with regulation. Vetting inspection help ensure that vessels comply with international regulation and industry best practices, reducing environmental impact. Oil spills and maritime accidents can have catastrophic environmental impacts, Vetting inspections are designed to identify potential risks and prevent incidents that could lead to pollution, protecting reputation and liability. For oil majors, maintaining a strong reputation and minimizing liability are critical. Vetting inspections allow these companies to assess the condition and operational practices of vessels they charter. By only using vessels that meet high standards, they can reduce the risk of incidents that could damage their reputation and lead to costly legal liabilities. Promoting continued improvement. Vetting inspection encourages continuous improvement in the maritime industry by identifying deficiencies and areas for improvement. These inspections drive ship owners and operators to enhance their safety and operational standards, leading to overall better performance in the industry, facilitating risk management. Oil majors and OCIMF use vetting inspection as a risk management tool. By evaluating the safety and compliance of vessels, they can make informed decisions about which ship to charter, thus managing their risk exposure more effectively. Standardizing inspection criteria. OCIMF and oil majors have developed standardized inspection criteria, such as the Ship Inspection Program Sqlearn. This standardization ensures the consistency and liability in the inspection process, making it easier to assess and compare the safety and compliance of these vessels, fostering transparency and accountability. By maintaining detailed records of inspection and making them accessible to relevant stakeholders, oil majors and OCIMF create a culture of accountability where ship owners and operators are more likely to adhere to high standards, enhancing operational efficiency by ensuring that vessels are well maintained and comply with safety regulations. A vetting inspection can also enhance operational efficiency. Role of oil major. Oil major prioritizes the safety of their operation to prevent accidents, spills, and other incidents that can have catastrophic consequences. By conducting these vetting inspections, they assess the condition and operational approach of the vessels they charter. This proactive approach helps identify and mitigate potential safety risks before they can lead to incidents. Oil majors such as BP, Shell, ExxonMobil, and Sqlearn were the first to implement the vetting inspections. The role of OCIMF. OCIMF played a crucial role in standardizing and formalizing the vetting process initiated by oil majors. OCIMF is a voluntary association of oil companies since 1970, with an interest in the safe and environmentally responsible operation of oil tankers and terminals. It developed standardized inspection programs and guidelines to ensure consistency and reliability across the industry. One of the key contributions of OCIMF to the vetting process is the Sqlearn program, as I already told. Introduced in 1993, Sqlearn provides a standardized inspection format and centralized database of inspection records available to all the oil majors and screeners, which oil companies can access to evaluate the suitability of vessels for chartering. What is the impact of the vetting inspection to the shipping industry all these years? Reduction in incidents and accidents. One of the most significant impacts of the vetting inspection is the reduction in maritime incidents and accidents, such as oil spills, groundings, and other environmental safety incidents. Improved environmental protection. By ensuring that vessels adhere to international environmental standards, such as MARPOL, and have proper pollution prevention measures in place, these inspections have reduced the occurrence of pollution incidents. Enhanced safety standards. Vetting inspections have led to a notable improvement in the safety standards of vessels. Increased compliance with regulations. The vetting process has improved compliance with the international and local regulations across the maritime industry. Higher operational efficiency. Vessel inspection contribute to higher operational efficiency by ensuring that vessels are in good condition and operated effectively. This reliability is crucial for oil majors and other stakeholders who depend in timely and secure delivery of cargo. Standardizing and consistency. Programs like Sqlearn Inspection Report program provide a uniform framework for evaluating vessel safety and compliance, making it easier for charterers to assess and compare differences. Enhanced reputation and trust. Oil major and other companies that will utilize a vetting inspection have seen improvements in their reputation and trust among stakeholders, demonstrating a commitment to safety and environmental protection through rigorous vetting enhance the credibility and reliability of these companies. Continuous improvement and best practices. Ship owners and operators are motivated to adopt best practices and invest in better safety and maintenance protocols to meet the high standards required by vetting inspection. Better risk management. By conducting thorough vetting inspection, oil major and other stakeholders can better manage risks associated with maritime transportation. Identify potential issues before they become problems, allow for proactive measures to be taken, reducing the likelihood of costly incidents and liabilities. Data and insights. Vetting inspection provide valuable data which can be used to track trends, identify common issues, and develop strategies for further improving safety and compliance across the industry. Now, Sqlearn VIQ7 to Sqlearn 2.0. Why? Currently, more than 180,000 Sqlearn inspections have been completed since the initiation of Sqlearn program. The current working Sqlearn program, VIQ7, last updated in 2018, has some limitations and challenges that need to be addressed to keep up with the changing time and expectations of key stakeholders. The increasing use of Sqlearn information over the past 2 decades has been closely linked to the growing efforts made by the oil, gas and chemical industries to ensure that the vessels they use are well managed and maintained. Recognizing that digitalizing the inspection regime could enhance reporting, our team believes that this is a time to strengthen the Sqlearn program and ensure it remains truly effective and keep up with industry changes. OCIMF embarked on a projection to overhaul and digitalize the Sqlearn inspection regime with Sqlearn 2.0. Below are the key differences introduced in Sqlearn 2.0 compared to Sqlearn VIQ7. Inspection scope and detail. VIQ7 focuses on a standardized questionnaire format with predefined questions covering various aspects of vessels inspection operations. With Sqlearn 2.0 introduced a more dynamic and risk-based approach to inspection with a tailored set of questions gathered based on the specific risk profile of the vessel, each trade and each operational history. Opportunities to demonstrate best practices and recognize excellence. Digitalization and technology. VIQ7 primarily relies on manual data entry and paper-based records. With Sqlearn 2.0 embraces digital technologies, introducing the use of tablet devices for real-time data entry and electronic reporting, enhancing accuracy and efficiency. Risk-based methodology. VIQ7 uses a uniform approach to all vessels regarding of their operational difference. With Sqlearn 2.0 utilizes a risk-based assessment model that considers vessel-specific factors such as age, type, and operational history, allowing for more customized inspection process. The updated Sqlearn 2.0 program will follow a risk-based approach, underpinned by a focus on human factors, but not only of the senior officers, as we already know, but also of the entire crew, including the ratings, inspector training and competency. VIQ7 inspectors follow a standardized training program focused on the question format. With Sqlearn 2.0 implements enhanced training programs emphasizing the dynamic risk-based approach, requiring inspectors to be proficient in identifying and assessing a broader range of risk factors. Data integration and analysis. VIQ7 data analysis is limited to the information collected during the individual inspections. With Sqlearn 2.0, it is aligned to TMSA and integrate data from multiple sources, including historical inspection record, incident record, and external databases to provide a more comprehensive risk profile and facilitate predictive analysis. Depth and quality of maritime assurance data gathered during vessel inspection will be increased. Reporting and feedback. VIQ7 generates static record based on the defined questionnaire responses. With Sqlearn 2.0, procedures produce dynamic records that highlight specific risk areas and provide actionable insights for continuous improvement, offering more in-depth reporting outcomes to vessel operators. Vetting inspection requirements. Please let's see a few requirements of Sqlearn 2.0 inspection. Just a few. Prior inspection of the following documents must be uploaded to the OCIMF database by the vessel's operator, such as the well-known harmonized vessel particular questionnaire, officer matrix, certificates repository with vessels certificates, vessels photograph repository, pre-inspection questionnaire, PIQ, and inspection declaration letter. These documents' photos must be accurate, must be uploaded at least 2 days prior to the ship's inspection in order the compiled vessel inspection questionnaire, CVIQ, to be completed and uploaded to the inspector tablet before boarding the vessel. Please note that in case of a wrong entry to our initial submission of the above document, the inspector will have to record an observation, which is new. Sqlearn 2.0 question libraries includes more than 300 main questions, with each question described in 2 to 8 pages. About 100 questions will be assessed during each inspection. For example, in tanker vessels, 38 more core questions will be assessed. These are the questions that will be repeated in each inspection. 36 questions are regarding the verification of the uploaded photograph repository. And 26 rotational questions, rotational 1 or 2, questions will be asked rotationally. Inspectors are provided with dedicated tablets that they will open at the ship's gangway in order to commence the inspection. The minimum duration of an inspection is 8 hours. Inspector will request to review various given procedures to confirm the familiarity of the accompanying officer. Multiple risk assessment-based procedures are required to be available. The CVIQ contains specific questions to be asked of certain crew members, such as engine ratings, deck ratings, ETO, and others. Following QMS procedure will be questioned to deck or engine ratings, enclosed entry permits, risk assessment review procedure, aloft over the site permit, UD, near miss reporting, garbage management plan, daily weekly work plan, rigging and recovery of pilot boarding arrangement, accommodation ladder arrangement, and portable gangway arrangement, designated space for hot work and hot work instructions, safety committee meeting, sea mops, recovery of person from the water plan and their expected role, STS operational plan, GPO for STS, sampling cargo, alleging with UTI, using a sounding rod, etc. All this is new. I have some time, I think, more. Let's go with a little bit with a risk. Okay. Right ship, risk vetting inspection requirement. Among other right ship vetting criteria, the most common is the annual right ship inspection under the current TOC managers, required from 14 years of age, which is for all bulk carriers of 8,000 dead weight and above. RightShip risk vetting inspection will include the following components: a review of the vessel documentation, inspection of the wheelhouse and navigation communication, general external areas including mooring, main deck, hatch cover, one cargo hold, and physical assessment of at least 2 ballast tanks from deck level, machinery of cargo cranes and one operator's crane cab, ship's office, ballast control room, machinery space, and accommodation space. The inspector is expected to manage and complete the inspection within 14 hours. This is more likely for 2 days of inspection. Vetting and inspection application need to be submitted via RightShip official web page, preferably for them 1 month before the requested inspection date. A single, double, or a hybrid inspection can be requested to RightShip. Risk include predefined questioning, almost similar with the AQ7, but with a little trick with well-being, welfare, etc., in their questionnaire. Each question with a guide to inspection, text, including bibliography of relevant regulation, i.e. SOLAS, Bridge Procedural Guide, etc., many books, and the RightShip requirements, of course, such as, let's say some example. Risk question 2.7, officer rating responsible for the carriage and care of dangerous and hazardous substances in solely forming bulk, including material hazardous only bulk MHB, have received appropriate training to comply with paragraphs 2 to 14 of section BVB of the STCW. The engine room transfer crane beam should be clearly marked in several locations, not only in the traveling beam itself and on the hook, but also on the internal fore and aft eye beam, so that no matter where you are standing on the engine room top plates, the SW of the equipment is clearly visible. Risk 13.30 question: RightShip recommend painting engine room bilges a light color to assist in visually identifying a fresh leak. Risk question 14.10, record the finding in the lamp holder, drip shield, if the lamp holder, drip shield and shade of the portable cargo lights are non-conductive. Do not isolate the crew from electrical shock hazard and have the voltage greater than 50 volts AC or 120 volts DC. As you understand, with all these requirements, very good familiarization and preparation, one more time, required with a risk, are essential, and especially for the masters, chief engineer, chief officers, and second officer, who is over there and will be in front of the inspector of a RightShip inspector. The validity of the conducted RightShip vetting inspector is not guaranteed for 12 months, which is the maximum, and may be reduced to up to 3 months in the case of numerous high-risk observations or findings. Right? They use the word findings. As you understand, the closing or the result of the RightShip inspection may be completed, but may be not so good completed if the validity is reduced to minimum. Thank you all for your kind attention today and your participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain, for the presentation and the useful insights. Now I would like to invite Captain Nikos Kavelis for his presentation. Embracing the human element and deciding to work.
Staff, which is the pre-inspection personnel.
Thank you, Katerina. Thank you, Sqlearn, for the invitation. Thanks to all of you that we are here today in order to see together this silent new era. In 1993, Joachim introduced the SIRE program aiming to contribute to the improvement. Thank you. Again. In 1993, Poggi introduced the SIRE program aiming to contribute to the improvement of safety management in tankers in terms of a marine industry that primarily preventing harm to people and the environment. As we see here, initially, the target was in facilities and equipment. We saw some decrease of the incidents, however, for sure, they were very high. Later on, the management systems also got into the target, and we had a little better improvement, but again, we were still far. So, incidents were still happening. Thus, a new approach was decided to be followed, and by using human factors as well, OCIMF built the SIRE 2.0, targeting to achieve the common industry's goal, which is nothing else than zero incidents. We have many new things in SIRE 2.0, and what's that? We have new questions, new approach to the inspection questionnaire. Although the questionnaires structure remain the same, we are talking for the same chapters and the same elements of the chapters, the questions are totally different. We have new technology because actually we are using a tablet in order to do the inspection. So we mean for a real-time inspection which is completely computerized. We have enhanced reports because each and every question must be answered, must have comments. So instead of having one report after a SIRE inspection which is about 20 pages or something under VIQ 7, now we have at least 60 to 65 pages under SIRE 2.0. Of course, oversight and behaviors of all participants we will discuss later on for this in detail. Declaration of any defects in advance, which was not required so far. And inspector is called to identify each observation's subject of concern and nature of concern. Therefore, he is not required only to write down the observation. He is requested to see why this observation was allowed to happen. New terms, as also Captain Nikos told, they are certificate repository that we are going well in advance the inspection and we upload some certificates that they are required. We have the photograph repository, which is a standardized procedure which we have to upload some photos of the vessel which is standardized by the OCIMF under specific guidelines that they have issued. And we have the inspection declaration. Inspection declaration more or less asks the operator to say that they are not liars, to sign that whatever they have uploaded is accurate and true. The HPPQ has been changed, has been enhanced, let's say, under the 6th version, which was released about 2 years ago. We have a very new stuff, which is the pre-inspection questionnaire. Based on this questionnaire, we are going to put inside all the ship-specific data, so a very ship-specific and custom-made questionnaire will be released in order the inspector to do the SIRE 2.0 inspection. This tailor-made questionnaire is called CVIQ, Compiled Vessel Inspection Questionnaire. All this information that we have uploaded, they are going to be mixed into our inspector's tablet, and the inspector will have the capability to have the questionnaire, the guidance for the questions that he is going to inspect during the inspection process, and of course after that this tablet is going to extract the inspections report. Under VIQ 7, all the questions more or less are of equal gravity. At least this is what we know. Some oil majors have their ranking, but this is another question and another discussion. So, all the questions have been risk assessed, and the highly risk assessed questions have been categorized as core. These core questions will be present at all inspections that we are going to carry out. The rotational 1 and rotational 2 will be, as it is said, rotational, so will be rotated every third or fourth inspection or every sixth inspection, etc. And we have the conditional questions. Conditional questions are mostly related to what we have declared to a TMSA submission. If, for example, we say now at TMSA submission that every 1 year we conduct a real-time navigational audit by external agency, this question will appear into the CVIQ in order for the inspector to see and verify that indeed this is the case. The campaign questions are working similarly to the Paris MOU. If they find a trend at a period, they are going to make a rotational 1 or rotational 2 question upgrade actually to core for a limited period, 3 months or something like that. And this question is going to appear at every inspection that any ship is doing. The questions are part of categories, as we told before. They have 3 elements. The one element is the hardware element, which is purely to assess the condition of the equipment and structure. The second element is the procedural element, to assess if the procedures are accurate and are there. And the third is the human element. Now, very clearly say that one of the 3 elements is also the human. So we can see that the human element is at the spotlight. Very clearly, very officially. This is also revealed by the SIRE program evolution. We see here that the human factor, if we see the VIQ6, which is the previous version of the VIQ, the human factor is not so big, and VIQ7 is bigger, and SIRE 2 is full. So we start from the be aware, and we are going to be able to demonstrate. We had been prepared before SIRE 2.0. Why? Because we see new publications, for example, ISCOT 6th edition in 2020 or M.Expo in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, that they have inside start to introduce a human-centered approach, focusing on seafarers' soft skills in areas such as teamwork, communication, situational awareness, decision-making, and leadership. I put here also TMSA 3 because we know that the TMSA is still the same, but many discussions have been carried out for the TMSA's upgrade in order to introduce the human element as well, or by introducing a new chapter, the 14, or by introducing the human element at each element of the TMSA. And we have decided 2.0 questionnaire, which is going to replace the VIQ7. There are 2 different parts, as we can see. The first part is from the chapter 1 to chapter 7, which is about 700 and something pages. The second part is chapter 8 to 12, which is about 500 and something pages. So we are talking in total for about 1,300 pages of questions that everybody must be prepared for that. The most commonly used terms within the questionnaire, the questions and guidance, is very interesting to see that we have was familiar with the procedure 4, were the masters and officers familiar with, the accompanying officer, the accompanying rating, interviewing officer, interviewer rating. The terms aware and familiar are included in the questionnaire more than 1,300 times. Instead of having questions, responses, yes and no, as we have now in VIQ7, there will be, as expected, which is the everybody's no yes, will be the not as expected, which will be the everybody's well-known no, and this is an observation, which is now a negative observation. The largely as expected, which is somewhere in the middle, not as expected, but not also as expected, so somewhere in the middle. However, it is not considered as a negative observation. And a very new thing, exceeds normal expectation, which is only for human. Practically means that the human element now is rewarded by a positive observation. If somebody exceeds the expectation, and we are talking, as we told, only for human, he's going to receive a positive observation. So far, of course, it is not something very extreme. Taking a sample of some inspections, we see that the 93% were negative observations and only 7% were positive. However, it is very interesting to see this one. The core questions percentage versus the human-related questions. We see that the chapter 3, which is crew management, 4 navigation, 8 cargo and the ballast systems, mooring and machinery, the 100% of the core observations are human-related. And we have the certification and documentation 65 and the safety management 83%. Now, the inspector's approach to the human element. The human element is getting into the microscope, into the magnifying lens. So, the inspector, who is again human element, is going to evaluate the human element. How prepared we are for that, for sure we cannot say. It's the very beginning. However, the inspectors have been given with some tools in order to make it more standardized approach, because since human factor is a complex subject, a practical guidance is provided to the inspector in a lot of different areas. Inspectors are asked to exercise a holistic approach, actually, but by not only assessing the competence of individual crew members, but also look for the conditions that make the task or to be hard or to be easy. And so the inspector is going to be given with the performance influencing factors, the well-known to us PIFs, which is actually, as the definition, I will read exactly the definition, a collective term for those factors known to influence or shape human performance. They can enhance and assist human performance, or they can degrade and obstruct it. And the human related PIFs, the performance influencing factors, have been categorized under this. And so the inspector is going to assess the human element, and he's going also to give an explanation if an observation is raised, even this is positive, even this is negative, by selecting one or more PIFs, which are actually the natures of concern, as it is said in Sqlearn 2, during the inspection. We are not going to read all of them. They are actually 9 which are straightforward, and the 10th one which is not identified, so somebody can put his own words there. The interesting thing here is that all the PIFs have been written in neutral way, so they can be used or under positive or under negative observation. The good thing, in order to relax a little bit our crew members and ourselves, is that no names or ranks will be mentioned to the Sqlearn 2.0 report. It will be the observed person, it will be the responsible officer, or they are going to be described as rank groupings. For example, senior deck officer, junior deck officer, rating, etc. It is very interesting now to see some statistics from some inspections that they have been carried out. These results are coming from a sample of 25 inspections. The source is the vetting committee of Intertanko. We have gathered some reports there and we extracted these statistics. This inspection resulted in 194 negative and 15 positive observations. As we see, we have an average of 7.76 negative observations and about 0.6 positive observations versus about 2.23 observations per inspection that we have now under VIQ 7. We see here that the majority of the observations have been raised in Chapter 5, which is the safety. And I would say that is normal because Chapter 5 has 82 questions. So it's a big chapter, and the likelihood to receive an observation in Chapter 5 is bigger. It should be noted that a lot of observations are raised on Chapter 2, and this is the reason because there is inaccuracy of the data that they have been uploaded in the pre-inspection questionnaire from the office. So this is very important for the operators to have in mind. And of course, we have some increased amount of observations in Chapter 3, which are related to missing assessors' qualifications in audit reports. In this chapter, I don't even remember that they are saying that the qualifications of the guy who is doing the navigational audit or the mooring order, whatever should be written there. Some companies have not introduced them into their forms, so this is the reason of the increased amount in Chapter 3. As we see here, the majority, the biggest amount of the observations is related to the process. It is 44%. But this is getting decreased because the companies adjusting their procedures accordingly. The 26 is the human, the 20 is the hardware, and the 10% is photo. The photo is another, let's say, peculiar thing because the photos that they are uploaded should be exactly as the guidance of the CIMF, and some photos also are missing, also some photos are inaccurate, and this is the reason that the inspectors are raising observations to the photos. Since we are looking for human, if we see here, we see that the human-related observations, the Chapter 5 again, which is the safety, is the champion. The Chapter 8, which has to do with the cargo, is also increased. Chapter 4, which has to do with the navigation, is also big enough. And Chapter 10, which has to do with the machinery spaces, is also increased. Everybody now is wondering when this new stuff will be rolled out. The OKIMF chose to do a readiness-based approach on that. So now we are in phase 3. And the phase 4, of course, is the implementation. As per latest news, it is said that the Sqlearn 2.0 will be officially implemented within Q3 of 2024. However, 2 months notice will be given. So, remaining to see. Now, some practical things from our experience and what, let's say, we could do in order to be better prepared. We have to familiarize our crew members with this new stuff. We still have time, even these 2 months, as operators, to make a gap analysis to our SMSs and to align it with the Sqlearn 2.0 requirements. We are not looking for simplification, forget the simplification of the SMSs. We can fix and make in our office some case studies and can give it to the crew for familiarization. We can also make on board, when we are on board, and prepare our crew to encourage the role play. Role play is the one to do the inspector and the other to do the second officer, or after the second officer to do the inspector and to inspect the chief officer. This will be nice, a very good training and exercise, and for sure will remove the fear factor, because the fear factor is very important to be removed from the crew members. Otherwise, we will fail during these interviews, as they say that the inspector will do to the crew members. Any voice recording, that the tablet has the capability of voice recording, we have to ensure our crew members that the voice recordings are not included into the official inspection report. It is only some notes, let's say, for the inspectors. We need definitely the involvement of the senior officers during the whole process of the inspection, especially in the beginning, otherwise we are going to fail. And for the operators, carefully to complete the HVTQ, the pre-inspection questionnaire, and generally to be sure for the accuracy of the information and of the photos that we upload to the OKIF database in order to avoid any unnecessary negative observations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain Nikos, for these wonderful insights. I found it very interesting myself. Thank you very much. So, and now I would like to invite our panelists. I'm not used to so please excuse me. So, Mr. Dimitris Fokas from Angelikousis Group, Mr. Adonis Evonidis from Alpha Marine Technology Projects, Mr. Nikos Andreadis, Captain Dimitris Pikinis, and Mr. Athanasios Boulios. Also allow me to be seated. Are we seated? Are we okay? So, to kick off our discussion, I would like to come to Mr. Fokas. Mr. Fokas, you are the head of the training and development of Angelikousis Group, and you also are the president of Intertanko Training Committee, am I right?
Καλησπέρα. Chairman of Intertanko.
Chairman.
It works.
So, would you like to share with us what actions has Intertanko taken to ensure a smooth transition to SIRE 2?
Thank you. Καλησπέρα. Good to be back in Pοσειδωνια and see such an active, very impressive exhibition. So well done to the organizers to start with. So what has Intertanko done regarding SIRE 2? A lot of things, but in my personal opinion, it's not that our aim is to have good SIRE results. Of course, we all want good SIRE results for commercial reasons, but we need to have a wider, a bigger picture of what, and I will focus mainly only on human element, and how important is human element, not only for SIRE 2 results and inspection, but in general. That's Antonis car. So, what is important for well-being in general and for our seafarers and officers? So, back to some of the terms that the previous speakers have used about behaviors, etc. So, the first thing that Intertanko has done with OKIF was 4 years ago, and that was the Big Up. That is a tool to facilitate companies to assess the behaviors of seafarers. And the main idea of the Big Up was to have a simple tool, mainly to raise awareness of the importance of soft skills. Okay. And this is a flexible and easy tool, and this assessment can be done during the audits, technical audits that are carried out on board the vessel. So that is the idea. So soft skills, behaviors can be assessed and can be improved. Okay, so that is the concept. And this is, of course, related to SIRE 2, etc., because human factor is a very important part of SIRE 2. And of course, we want to improve the interviews, the response of our seafarers and officers, etc., etc. So this is the bigger picture. Regarding SIRE 2 in particular, of course, Intertanko has issued the guidance with the questionnaires. This huge O'Keefe questionnaire is reduced to something more manageable, etc., etc. That's the idea. But on top of that, I would like to say another initiative of Intertanko was a survey that was done to the seafarers, and that was published 2 months ago. And I don't know if you have seen it, but if you haven't, please try to find it. It's available on the internet. And there we have some very interesting regarding the response from the seafarers and how they feel about their career in general. So one very good and very positive outcome is that seafarers feel that they work in a safe environment. This is very important. And that took many years of efforts from the maritime industry to go to that level, so that everybody is happy now with safety. This is a big step, we should not forget that. Another very important finding in that survey, and I want to mention that to you, is what do you think is are the 2 most important elements for well-being on board? Okay, the easy one is internet, access to internet. What would be the second one? What do you think? They are rated at the same level.
Food.
Food, no, they are happy with food. Anybody else?
Internet.
Internet was the first one. We have another one.
Rest hours.
No, they're happy with the rest hours. So the second one, to our surprise as well, was mentoring. Seafarers want mentoring, and they rate it as important as internet access. And this is new. We like that finding, and we should work as Intertanko, as an industry as well, towards improving mentoring on board, and also mentoring while seafarers are ashore. And now Intertanko, the final one is that we are going to submit some proposals to IMO, because STCW is under review now during that period. So we take advantage of that review and propose some new approaches based on the results of the survey, in particular regarding mentoring, human factors, etc. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this explanation, Mr. Fokas. Very, very interesting, especially the last point with the mentoring. Mr. Erdanidis, I will come to you now. You are the General Manager of a leading marine consulting firm in general. So, from your perspective, what are your impressions from mock SIRE 2 inspections within the industry? Could you share your feedback?
Yes, thank you. We have seen from Nikos some statistics from the trials, SIRE 2 trials, but I think Nikos, the statistics of Intertanko are limited, because in fact there are less than 30, and we have more than 100. But even with the biggest sample, what we see is that the majority of the observations are in, as you said, in the area of procedures. I think there is a reason for this. The reason, I think, is the following. We have the same inspectors doing SIRE 2. These guys go on board today, as per the existing VIQ, do the inspections, and everybody knows that they identify 1, 2, 3 observations. These observations are 99% focused on hardware. So the current results of the existing VIQ is 2 or 3 observations focused on hardware. They cannot go on board the vessel now and identify 50 observations on hardware, because it's the same vessel. So they know that this is their limit, 2 or 3 observations focused on hardware. The second category is the human, let's say, factors. And what we see is that they're reluctant to identify many observations in this area. Why? I think there are two reasons. One is that they don't feel comfortable saying that Nikos is not fully aware for something, because it's like a personal debate. And they don't feel comfortable to have a debate with the chief officer or the rating. The second is that they are obliged to go to this list, the famous PIF, as you said, and this is another black box for them. They are not capable to go in this list of personal influencing factors. This list is for them a nightmare. Frankly speaking, I think they are not capable even to understand what is these 10 points. So they are afraid to go in this area. And this list of the personal influencing factors, the PIF, need a lot of, knowledge, culture. There is no culture in our industry, you know this. So they are afraid to go in this area. And the most easy category is procedures. It is like Alpha Marine paying them to identify gaps. But this is not true, as you know. So procedure for them is easy because it's not, let's say, a personal debate. They say the procedure is not good or not clear enough or whatever, and it's an observation easy for the companies to handle, because at the end of the day, you will handle or I will handle, somebody will fix the procedure and finish. Because if you have an observation which is, let's say, focused on the human element, then in fact you will have no idea of what you will do. What is the solution if, let's say, an observation has as a reason that the chief officer is not motivated? What you will do? You will motivate him, you will send him $1,000 to motivate him. So it's a fake, let's say, picture that we see. At the end of the day, the benchmarking is, as Nico said, and I mean the following. Majority is the procedures, and for sure this is the priority for every company. And the point is that Sqlearn is so detailed, and these details which are included there are missing from the majority of the city companies, of the system of the city companies. So this should be a priority, the procedures. Sooner or later, it will be the human element. And I think in the next few years, you will see a trend. The procedures of the companies will be, let's say, improved. And at the end of this road, we will see the human element to be the big issue.
Mr. Ioannidis, I'm really sorry, but since we have a strict timeline to stick to,
Sorry.
I'm really sorry for that, but there's another conference coming up soon. So, Mr. Andreadis, you are a maritime HR executive. So, I would like to hear your thoughts on how does the focus on the human factor in Sqlearn 2 genuinely improve safety?
Yes, we expected that whatever we do with Sqlearn 2 and understanding human factors, the more we understand safety will improve. This is the answer to this question for me is we should do this. Yes, we should move down this road. How do I know? How do we know that this will work eventually? We don't have to make prediction about the future. We just need to check the past. If you check other industries that are way ahead of us, aviation, for example, nuclear industries, for example, they have done a lot of work on the specific area. They are specialized in human factors. They study, they do what we start to do now. Some other industries, they are doing that for decades now, and they have improved. Also, if you remember the graph that we have seen with the safety improvement we have in our industry, you will see that with the introduction, for example, of procedures is a human factors component, safety was improved. We got specialized through these procedures, we got better. Now, the more we study and the more we get in every field in our industry, it improves us. Now, there's another last thing that we need to keep in mind. If you study incidents, if you see investigations, I believe that there is virtually not even one, I exaggerate on that, allow me to do this, that does not contain the human action or the human component. So what we did up until now, we virtually disregarded. Although all our trends are there, situational awareness, complacency, motivation, alerting other people, root causes for incidents and accidents, we didn't focus, we didn't do anything about that. Now somebody will ask, okay, why we didn't do that and why we didn't focus and so on and so forth. I think the answer is because we find it and it is quite complicated. It's quite easier to introduce new technologies or double hold. It's easier to have procedures and create, let's say, barriers around human action than actually getting into this very complex system, understand it, map it, and eventually improve it. Now, this is the era where we are about to do this, virtually because we have specialized and improved all other factors, and we actually succeeded, and we need to focus on something to do. I want to assure you that good companies have nothing to be afraid of looking into this black box. It's something that we can understand. I can see improvements in the industry already. I see when I'm having discussions or trainings with top management or officers, crew members, even ratings, for example, the mentality is changing. So people, our front line, for example, start to understand the importance of the PIFs, for example, that it has introduced. Our officers and our office personnel is much more specialized compared to the personnel a decade ago. We understand much more regarding the human complexity, we understand much more regarding stress, mental health, behavioral competencies, interaction with alarms. We are becoming more and more specialized. So yes, the answer is yes, we will improve, safety will become better, and it's just a matter of process, and it's just a matter of time until we see the results. Just do not expect to see the impact of the improvement tomorrow. We need some years to consolidate the new knowledge and the new experiences that we get through this new area. I just want to tell you, don't be afraid of it. Step by step, baby steps, and we'll get to it. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Agati. Captain Dimitris, as a vetting manager of a major shipping company, you were one of the first who came face to face with this new Sqlearn 2 thing. Would you like to share what were the primary challenges you had to face?
Thank you. From the ship management's perspective, we all know we are from the same field ASU, all of us here, so the challenges are uncountable. We have a completely new process, which focuses greatly on the human factor. We have everything is different. Everything has changed or is changing. And allow me to use the key messages which OCI MF had given, which one of those is that Sqlearn 2.0 isn't business as usual, and Sqlearn 2.0 is transformational and needs change of mindset and behavior by all. I believe that this is where we have to stand, all involved parties, starting of course from us in the shipping companies,
and take it up from there. We have more workload for everybody. We have a huge bunch of stuff that have to be uploaded in advance. We have to verify, as very correctly Captain Kaldergis have earlier noted, we have to verify that they are accurate and according to the process, which means that everything comes to us, to the secret management. If you wish, from the even the most minor observation that can be or could be noted on board the vessel in the past, there were some that were just, let's say, 1.5 line responsive. It was okay, just a mission of the onboard personnel, some fluorescent signs that need to be replaced, and some minor things like this. There are no minors anymore. From the most minor to the most major, everything is coming back to us. And this is where we have to start. Now, as far as the trials is concerned, I would like to say that we are in the beginning. Everybody needs to be trained. Yes, we do have our own issues. Inspectors also have their own issues. The system itself, by itself, has its own issues. I have own experience where we have uploaded the data and finally the data couldn't leave from the OCIMF database and go to the assigned inspector's tablet. So we were obliged, following a number of numerous communications, to, okay, let's take them out and let's do the job again. Okay, finally they did it. And what I can say is that it is the beginning. I do not think that anybody is, I disagree, politely disagree with the expression that they are afraid to note the observation. We have seen in the past observations which were clearly expressing that the navigation officer was not familiar, was not aware. So the most key point for us in the shipping companies, I believe, is that we have to focus on that part. It is almost 1,500 times that within the OCIMF library we see the peculiarity, awareness, etc. We find it there. So this is the core point that we have to focus. I really liked what Mr. Focas earlier said about what's required by seafarers' motivation, and I can tell you something, being one of the older wolves now in our industry. I can tell you that I'm repeating that to the colleagues within and in general, or within my company or with other companies as well, that we are not giving particular attention to our people on board.
Okay, sorry.
When we have joined, I will say that in closing, when we have joined the vessels, we have learned the vessels not from the shipmaster but from the ship's bosuns. For one way or another in the last years, we have lost the ship bosuns and we lost also the mentoring on board. The greatest lessons have been given from the petty officers and not by the master. So this is where we have to step one step back and focus all our attention there, and everything is going to roll smooth. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Boulios, I will come to you now. Would you like to inform us what does Sqlearn do as a specialized maritime training provider to address the gaps and the challenges mentioned?
Okay, thank you, Katerina. Thank you everyone for being here today, and of course until too late. I have heard the previous experienced panelists very carefully, and believe me, I'm not going to give you such important hints or such important data, but I would try to help you find out what an e-learning provider can do in order to assist companies cover a part of the whole thing. So the first thing is that we are trying to be always updated. What that means is that we have always we always need to develop new courses. We have an extensive library. This library covers training needs for various types of vessels, and in order to comply with all the new legislations and all the new era that is coming, especially for the Sqlearn 2.0, we are always there in order to develop new courses. The feedback that we have for the seafarers is that they love the animations, they love the gamification, they love the games, just like the kids. So we have all these included in our courses in order to be, for them to be easier to complete them, and of course, after completing the course, getting a certification. But we are doing one very important thing. We are close to the shipping companies, and of course, close to the stakeholders. That gives us the advantage to hear from the same companies what are the training needs. And once we have the training needs, then we can see what are the e-learnings that they can cover them. I would like to give you two small examples. Then stop me, please, Katerina. Two small examples on how we have worked the last months. First of all, regarding because we don't only have the Sqlearn 2.0, but we always have the risk inspection questionnaire for the bulk carriers. What our team has done is to check all the questionnaire, see what are the training needs that can be covered from e-learning courses, and once we had all this list, we did the matching with our library. So we could find out what are the courses that we have already developed, what are the courses that they need to be updated, and of course, what are the courses that we need to develop. For example, hazardous material, mental health, etc., etc. So that was the first example. The second one is the Sqlearn 2.0, where apart from this matching, we also created, let's say, a proposed training matrix. This training matrix is something that we give to the companies that come to Sqlearn, and includes all the trainings that can cover training needs arising from the Sqlearn 2.0, and the companies can cover through e-learning. But apart from that, we have also developed 4 courses that are not just covering training needs, but are courses that help people familiarize with the new era that comes, familiarize and see what are the differences between the Sqlearn that we all used to know, the Sqlearn 2.0, and of course, preparation for people in the office, preparation for people on board, and the last one for the human element and the importance of the human factor on board the vessel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Koulios. Before moving to the second round, I would like to ask if anyone of the esteemed panelists would like to add something, has another point to share regarding the first round. Yes, Mr.
One point only, that we are discussing about Sqlearn 2. But as you said, exactly the same story is about the bulk carriers. And the bulk carrier industry has to, let's say, take more strong effort and to spend time and money and whatever is needed, because they have to do a lot of things in order to cover the latest industry requirements. And again, in the bulk carrier industry, again the same story. At the center of the whole standards, and it is the risk, but also the dry BMS or DBC, is again the human element. So it's not only Sqlearn. And the second arena is the following. Now is the time for Sqlearn to prove if training, e-learning is, let's say, effective. Because till today, the majority of the shipping companies, what they ask is about a certification, just to prove that we have a certificate, a paper. In Manila, you can take any paper with €1. Now it's the time to see if the training we provide to the crew has any added value, is efficient and effective. Because at the end of the day, everybody will have a certificate from Sqlearn or from whatever other organization, but the critical question is, do you know what you have to know? So it's the time to prove that Sqlearn is indeed a good company with efficient products. I think this is Spiro for you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Moving on to the second round of our discussion regarding best practices and solutions for the industry. Captain, I would like to start with you. From your experience, would you like to share some tips or some best practices that you recommend for successful vetting inspections?
Thank you again, Valerina. What I have to say is that I do not feel that exceptional clever. So, in order to cover that gap, I'm trying to read as much as possible. When I read that in the OCIMF official documents that Side 2 isn't business as usual, I sat down and thought that we have to really see something that is not that usual. So what I mean is that my proposal is that we, the SIG managers, have to start with the evaluation of own resources. What resources we have available in our offices, what resources we have available on the field, and how do we do the things, what we do now how we're doing the things, and re-evaluate it. I do not believe, we all know that things can be done differently. So we have to see what the process is demanding from us and how we will objectively stand and support our position against the requirements and against our clients in the market. So I believe that resources is the number one that we have to see, and how do we do things. I strongly believe that companies from average size and more, they have to integrate the well-known safety or HSQE or HSSEE, etc., all those known acronyms of the safety departments and the vetting team, that they have to integrate it and make it one team, because with Side 2 in front of us, they cannot work independently. They must be one team and work jointly. This is what I strongly believe. Also, according to the company size, it is what we do with the training. Do we have a dedicated team, department team? What do we have? What our company can stand to deal with? And of course, evaluate the available opportunities. I have heard about the e-learning, which Antonis earlier said. I can say that, from my point of view, it's the young generation, whatever has E, whatever is starting with E, younger generation, it goes well. So I have seen several young people who really love e-learning. Maybe this is not that good, no, that we're not that used to that old generation, but anyway, it is not us who are playing the game. The younger ones are there, so I believe yes, strong focus point in the e-learning. I would like to be make it zero. In Philippines, there are companies and people who make brilliant jobs. Of course, for us as clients, whatever we want to buy, we can buy it. So if we want to buy good training, we can buy good training and have our people well trained. If we want to buy the certificate, we will buy the certificate. So we just give the money and we buy according to the money we give. it's what you get back. So I believe that the focus points is resources, equipment, and let's start from scratches. Let's see the fact that for a number of years we are operating in that manner and we are doing the things in a certain manner, this does not mean that it can last forever. Do you have time? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain. Mr. Fokas, as far as the training is concerned, would you like to comment some best practices for addressing the human factor?
Thank you. Antonis is right. You can go for a cheap certificate if you want, but then it's up to the management company if you want to go for compliance only or for competence. I'm lucky I work in a company, in a group that we focus on competence, not on compliance. That's it's not all companies work like this. So we have done all those things that were mentioned before, gap analysis, Silo 2 training, etc. We have done all those things, like most of the companies, mock inspections, etc. Now some extra tips that we have done. Role playing that was mentioned before. In practice, how do we do it? We do it on board, with video conference from the office or the vetting department is monitoring and attending these role-playing on board the ship. This is done on a regular basis, once every month per every vessel, with a specific scenario based on Silo 2 questionnaire. Second, we use our own simulators, and there again we have role-playing, bridge or engine simulator. We have the inspector who is playing the role of the inspector together with the participants in the courses. This is also something extra, and all training providers can do that. For the Filipinos in particular, because we all know that Filipinos are a bit low profile, they don't speak up easily, so we have developed a course there, actual course, not e-learning, actual course with an expert for the Filipino seafarers and officers to help them improve in that speaking up, so they feel more confident when they are being interviewed. Of course, we have developed our own tool matching the Silo 2 questionnaire with SMS, etc., so it's easier for people on board to show to the inspector the relevant SMS procedures, etc., etc. Now, down to training, our training matrix has been amended. We cannot provide in-house all training that we want, so we are using e-learning platforms. And there are some specific courses that are designed to accommodate some of the specific requirements of both Silo 2 and RightShip. So Thanasis is correct, they have developed some things. Other providers have done the same thing as well, and we are using that. How do we use it? In advance, we know which vessel is going to be inspected, so we check with the vessel, we check the records, and we advise them, you have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., etc. So we guide them which e-learnings they have to do in order to fill the inspector's requirements. Those are some tips on how we deal with Silo 2 and RightShip inspections.
Very, very interesting. Thank you very much for sharing this with us. Mr. Iordanidis. Yes, again. What actions do you think can companies take to improve crew welfare and to ensure their well-being?
Yes, crew welfare, yes. You know, I think that our industry is totally reactive. We are waiting from OCIMF to tell us that people are important, and to understand that the main issue is the crew. And when they say that the main issue is the crew, then everybody is happy to work on this issue. And this is, you know, not very encouraging for our industry. Somebody has to tell us what we have to do. We cannot do it alone. So we were waiting for COVID to see many suicides to understand that, let's say, crew welfare is important. We are waiting for RightShip to tell us that internet is important. And this is always the same story. We are waiting for an incident to happen, for a rule to be adopted, for a regulation to be enforced, for RightShip to come and tell us that, you know, food is important for the people or internet is important for the people on board. I'm working 40 years in this industry and I see the same story. So suddenly crew welfare is important. Maybe 5 years ago it was not important. This is not so encouraging. So what is the question? If it is important, what is the question?
The question is, what actions do you think?
You know, it is the same story. If you have just to prove compliance, take the checklist of rights and do whatever they say, and you are in compliance. But if you want to, you know, to have a real good shipping company, you have to think over and above just compliance. You have to think what you said before. So crew welfare is important. Without crew, you are nothing. Shipping is the people, not the vessels. You can have the best vessels, I can prepare the best systems, but without crew you are nothing. You have zero, let's say, hope to survive. The people on board, and of course the people ashore, is the core of the shipping industry. Unfortunately, this was always the same, but suddenly decided to raise a flag and raise another flag, so it's time everybody to handle it. For me, this should be a priority for everybody. If you want, as a shipping company, to have a future, this is the most important thing. And this needs commitment from everybody. Of course, commitment from the top, commitment from everybody. This is the new era for the shipping industry. People. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Andreadis. Mr. Andreadis, from your point of view, how can companies improve human factor elements to enhance their overall performance and safety?
Okay, so the question is what we can do to improve, right?
Yes.
Human factors or mental health or crew well-being. First of all, we need to understand what is human factors. This is 2024, and usually when I ask people in every level on the shipping company what is human factors, they think we are talking simply about humans. This is wrong. We need to understand, we need to raise awareness, we need training about this. Human factors is actually everything that affects human performance. That means stress, that means hardware, that means procedures, culture, leadership, anything that can affect a person and can make them do errors. So the first thing we need to do is understand it, and I think we are under process. We are not there yet. We are doing steps, but we need a lot of work towards this direction. The second thing we need to do is try to change our overall mindset. It's a topic that we are afraid to touch. We see it in a very conservative way. Again, something we need to change. If we don't change our mentality, we will not be able to understand and implement the right things to do. I can assure you that within our companies there's a lot of human competency that goes down the drain. For example, and the Intertanko survey actually revealed that, and much to my personal disappointment, the Greek officers have a low self-esteem as officers in contrast to Filipinos, for example. Now imagine what happens on board when you have an officer that they don't actually feel like officers. They don't perform as you will expect them to do. So the first thing we need to do is reinvent seamanship, for example, in Greek crews. It's very important. When we do that, and we have seen that with our work, when officers, for example, feel like officers, they start to perform in a much more better way because they have competencies. So this is, for me, the first thing we need to do. The second thing we need to do is approach complexity with simplicity. So you don't try to approach this very complex topic in holistically in understanding everything. Just do one step at a time. We have all the tools. The tanker industry has TMSA 1114, we have BCAV, we have ICMG, the technical competency management system, for example. The bulk carriers, they have dry PMS and white ships, so we have a guidance. Just try to follow these first steps, have the first policies in place, and the next step that you need to do is start measuring stuff. And that's not difficult again. Many companies now, they have started actually working and utilizing very easy to administer periodic surveys. We have 2 companies I can see here that they do this process, and they measure what the front line feels. It's quite simple. For example, you can ask your front line how stressed they have felt over the past two weeks. Take this measurement, make it a KPI, this is a PIF, and of course after that you need to improve it. How you will improve it? Again, around you, in supporting company services like our services, for example, they can give you solutions. There are solutions for that. You don't need to invent the solutions. The actions are simple. If you start doing these steps, have basic procedures, understand the concept, number 1. First of all, embrace it, understand what is error, why it happens, okay? And then start to measure simple stuff, yet effective. You have all the things you need to start intervening. Now, if you follow this cycle, in 3 years from now, the shipping industry will be highly specialized in the specific area. This is the way to approach it. And you have people around you to help you to do this. I think, and we discussed it earlier, and to close it and tell you about Sqlearn that will help us towards this direction, what I'm describing, it's better to see something on an observation than to see it on an investigation, an instant investigation report. So Sqlearn, actually, for example, it will push us. It will pinpoint things that we need to do, human factor related things that we need to do. Okay? It sets the light before something happens. It's better to see it before than have to address it afterwards. And I trust that everybody here does not want to have something on their card, have something on their watch, an incident, an accident, a death or something, and it makes moral sense. And we should be happy enough that in 2024 it makes good business sense to have good safety and understanding what you have to do. So this is where we are.
Thank you for the insights, Mr. Andreadis. Mr. Boulios, we are about to conclude with you now. So, in this highly digital era and as a specialized online training provider, how do you help the companies or clients to prepare and succeed in vetting inspections?
Thank you, Katerina. Apart from the learning courses that I described before, in Sqlearn, the past months we have developed something new, which is groundbreaking software, which is called VETI. Most of you might not know yet about VETI, but it's an ideal solution for companies in order to prepare to do a pre-vetting before the real inspection on on board the vessels. If I could describe the VETI and tell a few things in a glance, I would say that it's an online questionnaire where companies, apart from Sqlearn 2.0 risk inspection questionnaire, can adjust any kind of questionnaires that they might have, and of course give the ability to the seafarers to complete this specific questionnaire. The most important thing is that you can assign different questionnaires to people on board depending on their ranks. The captain has to answer different questions regarding the chief engineer or the ratings or whatever. So it's very important that you can assign different kind of questions to different type of ranks. One important thing is that you can also download an application that we have also developed and give the seafarers the ability to complete this questionnaire offline from their mobile or their tablet, and of course they can upload files, they can get a picture through their mobile, and do this process more easily and faster. I would like to give you an example to understand how exactly you can use the VETI. So the first thing is for Sqlearn to create the company and the manager. Once the company and the manager is created in the platform, then with the individual credentials, the manager gives all the information about the fleet, the vessels, and once the vessels are in the platform, then you can assign the questionnaires to the seafarers, even if they are for tankers 2.0 or bulk carriers or whatever. And of course, as I told you before, different type of questions for different type of ranks. But the most important thing is that you can train and familiarize the seafarers, because in the application you can add, apart from the generic guidance, the company-specific guidance, and this is the key point of VETI. You have the generic guidance that gives you exactly the steps in order to answer the question, but the company-specific guidance, the specific SMS of each of the companies, is that makes VETI something different and something exceptional for each of the companies. But you all understand that it's very difficult to describe an application software even without a presentation. So, because I feel that Katerina will stop me, I will invite you to come to our booth, have a demo of our VETI, and then we can further discuss and see if this new era for Sqlearn and this new software can assist companies with the training and the familiarization for people on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, for being so punctual. Before we wrap up, I would like to open the floor to the audience. I don't know if anyone has a question for our panelists.
You mentioned, and I agree 100%, in terms of it's time to evaluate finally learning outcomes out of training, and taking a step further to that. When we're going to have a time that a seafarer will get trained, we will evaluate the learning outcomes, and then we will associate that with his performance and career progression. This is, I believe, when we're going to have an holistic approach, and we're going to solve a lot of the human factor elements that we see today. Because I feel, at least as a seafarer, for many years, there is a disconnect between at least the training you receive when you join, and then the performance evaluation that happens at the end of your contract.
May I ask? You were asking a question.
I mean, anyone who has any thoughts or feelings about it.
Yes,
absolutely valid point. That's how it can work. The solution to that is that you need to match all the systems you have, appraisals, training needs, identify training needs, follow-up, etc., etc. That's the only solution. Also have a solid training matrix, courses for junior, for senior, professor courses. So you need to have a system that can incorporate all the new requirements, all the new training needs, existing training needs based on appraisal, the results of training, etc. That's the only solution. Such a system exists, but it's very difficult for companies to follow and implement in long term. But that can work for a good company with seafarers that stay in the company for many years. That's the only solution in my opinion. Thank you.
And just to add here about retention rates, what we see is actually that training, good condition on board, human factors, and all these variables play a crucial role in retaining crews. So commercially speaking, a company that they want to have commercial advantage, they need to start investing yesterday on this kind of factors. Good companies already, we already have a scarcity of resources. Crew resources are not so good as they used to be like 30 years ago. The reason is that, as you already know, that people are not eager to go to sea, one, and two, that good officers and good crews are getting retained by companies, that they invest and focus on training, on good conditions on board, and so on and so forth. So the free, let's say, officers and crews that are outside in the market, they become more scarce, and their quality is not as good as they want to do. So investing in this for me is it's one way road.
Thank you, Mr. Andres.
Can I make a comment as well? I would like to give food for thought, let's say. We are talking about seafarers. as far as I know, there is the STCW, so the seafarers must complete some trainings in order to get across on board, in order to get promotions. There are e-learning that they are doing on board the vessels and many, many more trainings. What about you, that you are working in maritime companies, in the office? Does anybody has training? Does anybody have a training matrix in his company, in his office, that says that you start from a client service and in order to become a project manager you need to complete these trainings, these learnings, these kind of trainings? Just food for thought. I would say that in maritime industry, seafarers at least have some stages that they need to complete, even if they are not ideally, but they have some stages. I work in Sqlearn, where I have the next steps, the trainings that I need to complete in order to go to the next rank, in order to promote. I believe that if I ask each one of you, you don't even, you might not even think that you don't have training in your companies. Just food for thought.
Of course. The last one.
Okay. And just to clarify that as far as the shipping company is concerned, the training matrices are there and they are applicable for all personnel, both on board and board ashore. The problem stands, I couldn't agree more with Mr. Andreadis or with the other gentleman, that the problem stands to the way in which we deal with things. So, for a number of years we were considering that everything was okay. We have the modern vessels, we have the new vessels, and the vessels sail by themselves. So I do agree, the numbers are going down. We do not have the luxury. There is no machine that is producing on a daily basis X number of well-trained and experienced seafarers. So this is our job. This is what we have to stand for, and we have to work on that. I have several times discussed that internally in my company and in other companies as well, that lack of training on board. Okay, if everybody wants some people who have been appointed, have been employed by NASA, they're not available in our field. And if let's say an ex-superintendent likes the most perfect crews on board the vessels under his own responsibility, then it is reasonable that I would like to have the most well-trained superintendent. So maybe you are not the most capable for me, and I have to choose somebody else. So this is an endless story. We have to work on our people training. We have to train our people, starting from the people ashore, going to the people on board. The superintendents of paramount importance, because they will deliver the first phase of training on board, of the on-the-job training, I mean, and the most recent developments, and focus on the people ashore.
Thank you. I have no more time for questions, but at this time I would like to thank our panelists for sharing their valuable insights. I would like to thank our audience for engaging and watching this panel. So I would like to ask you all to have a photo all together.
Yes.